Hey, it's Lowery Smith of the Commander Smiths here with Searching for the Spotlight, Teval, the Balance Scale. One in a black and a green and a blue for a Spirit Dragon, 4/4 flyer. Whenever Teval attacks, mill 3 cards. Then you may return a land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, create a 2/2 black zombie druid creature token. You got a lot going on there, right? It's a pretty cool card. It's something that I wanted to build. I thought Adam was going to take it, but he didn't. He built 2 other kind of decks, so I'm going to go with this one too. This will be my 3rd deck from Tarkir. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Got a stack of around 100 cards that we can go through and try and cut as we go along. But let's talk about this card real quick. So basically, it's kind of milling. You're getting some land back, and so it can be landfall or just land matters or whatever. And then you're making a 2/2 black zombie druid creature token. Zombies could matter, druids could matter. I was really into the zombies for like the first part of brewing this, and then finally I was like, no, this isn't doing any, is just a zombie deck. You know what I mean? And that's okay. It's just not what I wanted to do. So I'm hoping that I have a lot of cards coming back from the graveyard to make 2/2 black zombie druids. And that's hopefully what we can get out of this. Commander Smith is a podcast that happens weekly. We generally record Monday nights, but going to be Tuesday night. So tomorrow night. Timberwolves are playing. Adam's watching it. Holiday weekend, might as well just push it. But I worked on this a lot this weekend, and I want to move forward with it. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. If you have a Teval or play against a Teval deck, let me know how it goes and what's up with that. Okay, so going into this Teval, like it's gonna be graveyard centered. I really like that. That's kind of my that's definitely my jam. I like landfall. I'm going to avoid most landfall cards just for trying to do something different. Um, and then we'll go with that. So Taval's pretty cool. Let's keep that in there. What are we? This first part, I just put a bunch of druids back in um for that. So it's not like, I don't think you can really do a druid deck out of this. You have some cool druid cards that are in here. But I think most of this is just going to be um just graveyard centered. That's kind of what I'm going for. So this first part, let's get this out of here. There is an order to it, I believe, just not at the beginning. So Druid, Scaled Herbalist. You can tap it to put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. So a lot of lands are going to end up in your hand. So we'll go with that. Floral Evoker. Landfall, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. It is a druid. You can pay a green, discard a creature card, return target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. That's a pretty cool way of just getting lands from your graveyard into play. The other thought, I did cut this initially, and I'm bringing it back just because of the druid subtype and playing lands from the graveyard and stuff like that. But I thought if I was going to have kind of the zombie theme a little bit more, I'd be happier with this, or like grave crawler, blood gas, stuff like that. So I can discard those creatures and then they come back into play with the landfall trigger. Or you have something like Vileborn Ghoul where it comes back to your hand and then you can continue to discard cards. That seems really cool. But I didn't go that route either. But I still think it has some really good potential in here. So go with that. Tatiova, Benthic Druid. I mean, it's landfall, draw a card, gain a life. It's going to be good, but really it's making it in here because of the Druid subtype. Um, there are some, we'll see where it goes. All right. Augur of Autumn, you can play lands off the top of your library, and also you can cast creatures off the top if you have Coven. So it's a pretty cool one, but a Druid is why it kind of made its way back in here. Then you have Hermit Druid. Initially cut this because it is not mill. You are revealing off the top. So until you reveal a basic land card. So you're revealing cards and then you will put them into the graveyard, but it is not considered milling. And there's definitely some milling specific cards that are in here. And so I felt like it wasn't going to work. But Hermit Druid still is one of those cards that mills yourself very good. It's a very good mill card, even though it is not the specific word mill, which is kind of disappointing. But still, it's a druid as well. Uh, Turn timber sower. Whenever one or more lands go into your yard from anywhere, create an O1 green plant creature, also a druid. Uh, White of the reliquary. You can tap it, sack a creature, put a land from your library into play and shuffle, and then it gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. It should be big. It should get you early ramp. It's going to be a good card in the deck. Also a zombie. And then the last one that I rush put in is Fanatic Aronis, also a card that I cut maybe 2 days ago in the process, but it's just really, really almost too good not to. Like, if you have a creature with or if you have creatures with power 4 or greater, you get to create 4 green. Number one, that's bonkers, but Teval gets you there right away. And so it should be Fanatic on turn 2, Teval on turn 3, and then you're tapping for 4 mana, and it's going to be crazy. All right. Also, Eternalize comes back as a zombie, can be played from the graveyard. It's doing everything you want to have happen. Okay. So a lot of that was just kind of mana stuff that'll get switched up into what it needs to eventually. But let's go from there. Okay, we have Lumra, Bellow of the Woods, 6 mana. Its power and toughness is equal to the number of lands you control, and then Lumra enters mill 4 cards, then return all land cards from your yard to the battlefield tapped. So it'll trigger Teval once for a zombie, but it's just your mill deck. It's milling, it's bringing those things back. It'll trigger Teval. You're going to get a lot of lands off this. And you're already getting a lot of lands. So I like this a lot. Aftermath Analysis comes into play. Mill 3 cards, pay 4, sacrifice, return all lands from the yard to play battlefield tapped. So basically an uncommon version of Lumra. I really like that one. Hedge Shredder. This card's really awesome for this kind of deck. The Wise Mothman, just cards that are self-milling decks that's great. But 4 mana, 5/5 vehicle. Whenever it attacks, mill 2 cards, and then whenever one or more land cards are put into your graveyard from your deck, put them into the battlefield tapped. So if you're milling yourself and any land goes into your yard, it comes into play into the battlefield tap. It's going to be crazy in this deck. It's a great card. Rampant Frogantua, kind of a similar thing. It gets +10/+10 for each player who has lost the game. It's 3/3 trample for 3. And then whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may mill that many cards, put any number of land cards from among them into the battlefield tapped. It seems like pretty cool. These will both trigger Teval. So these are not replacement effects. It's going, if it goes to the graveyard, then do this. To whereas there are some things out there that are saying, if it goes to the graveyard, instead do exile it or something, and so that doesn't count as it doesn't count as being in the graveyard to be removed for Teval. It just it's just putting it in a different spot. So that is what you want, is it to be in the graveyard and then leave, and then it'll trigger Teval. So that's where we're at. Rampant Frogantua. Slogurk, the Overslime, 3 mana, 3/3 trample. Whenever a land cards goes into the graveyard, it gets +1/+1 counter. You can remove 3 1/1 counters from it, return it to its owner's hand, and whenever Slogurk leaves the battlefield, return up to 3 target land cards from your yard to your hand. So this is one of those, like, it'll leave the graveyard, you get a token, you got some land in your hand. Let's try and get those out of your hand eventually pretty quick. Let's put some of these ramp cards in there. That's not that. This and that. I'd probably count that. Don't know. All right. Life from the Loam. Love this one. You'll see some proxies. This is not from Adam, but sometimes we have plenty of proxies that Adam will do of his own. I want to say this is Proxy Guy? That's the Z. Man, it's been so long since I've been on Twitter. Um, but yeah, this is a cool one made way before the podcast even. But Dredge is a great one where a card is leaving your graveyard. You get the effect, you get the trigger for Teval. You're milling cards. Dredge is a mill mechanic. Surveil is not, unfortunately, from what I understood it as. And so Life from the Loam, great. Getting lands back into your hand. Those also count as leaving the graveyard. It works. Blossoming Tortoise, 4 mana, 3/3 turtle. Whenever it enters or attacks, mill 3 cards and return a land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. And then activated abilities and lands you control cast one less, and land creatures you control get +1/+1. Shouldn't be a lot of land creatures, but activated abilities generally are pretty good. And this is what you're doing: you're milling and then bringing a land back. So the mill triggers will happen. Tavol leaving the graveyard is going to happen. It'll be nice for you. Um, and then there are instants and sorceries of the same ilk, but 2 mana sorcery, mill 3 cards, then return a land card or elf card from your graveyard to your hand if you can't draw a card. And so there are differences in these types of cards as well. There's definitely a handful, a strong handful that are like this. And let's talk about some of the different versions. I don't have them all because I've cut them at this point, but this is a mill and then bring back from the yard. That's what Teval wants. Now there are others where like Grizzly Salvage, I want to say green black instant. It's really really used when you're trying to fill up your graveyard. But basically, what that is it's a reveal, pick a card, and then put the rest in the graveyard. That doesn't count as milling, and that doesn't count as pulling it from the yard, like for Teval. So I've avoided those cards at this point. And then little differences within these kind of cards where it's milling and pulling from the graveyard. Some of them are just looking for the graveyard, and some of them are specifically looking for the cards that you just milled with this card. This one's looking for the graveyard. It's great. Witherbloom Command, you get to choose 2 of these, but target player mills 3 cards. Then you return a land card from your graveyard. That's what you'll always use in this deck. And then you can either choose between destroy target non-creature, non-land permanent with value 2 or less, or target creature gets -3/-1, or target opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. So that's one of those. That'll work real nice. Enoch Wayfarer, 1/1. When an ETBs mill 3 and then put a land from among them into your hand. If you can't put a 1/1 counter on this creature. So this is one of those specific differences of this. You have to return a land card within the 3 you milled with this card coming into play. That's the difference, right? You got Milliken, which is tap, mill a card, get a colorless mana. Um, so it's nice. It's a mill. Deranged Assistant, same thing, just in blue. Human Wizard, Soul Ring for that ramp. I'm going to go with a Mox Diamond in this one. You're discarding the land card and just getting land into your graveyard a lot quicker. Exploration, playing lands from your hand or just anywhere, an extra one. That's what you want. That's kind of what this deck is doing. Burgeoning is also going to be nice. It's contingent on your opponents playing lands. And hopefully, I guess you're hoping that they do that. And then you get to put lands from your hand into play. Druid class, whenever a land ETBs, gain a life for any of your lands. And then you can pay 3 more. And then you may play an additional land on each of your turns. That last one doesn't really matter. So, but that's a pretty good one. Let's see here. On the trail, whenever you draw your second card each turn, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. Now, I don't have a lot of cards that are going to allow me to draw multiple cards per turn because most of my draw I'm doing with the mill and get a card. And so you're not really drawing off of that. Let's see here. So you're milling and putting a card into your hand. It's not really drawing. And so now that I'm talking it through right now, we'll cut that one. But I think if you have more draw, it'll be nice for you. Titan's Nest, 4 mana enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card and put it in the graveyard. You may put it in there. And then you can exile a card from your yard and then it adds a colorless. Spend this mana only to cast colored spells without X in its mana cost. So not for artifacts and not for X spells. Makes sense, but should be. But every time you exile a card, you get to trigger Teval. Tireless Provisioner, just that landfall, create a treasure, is just ramping. Keru Goldkeeper, 4-mana dragon. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard during your turn, create a treasure token. Let's see here too. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, and let's make sure that we're being specific in that regard. So if you are exiling your graveyard, so all those cards are leaving your graveyard, you don't get X amount of 2/2s or X amount of treasures. It's checking for, is it an instance of that happening? Not looking for how many creatures or how many lands or how many. It's just saying, did a card leave the graveyard? Yes, cards, a card left the graveyard, then you get a trigger. And that's why you want incremental triggers in this deck. So, as in, like, if you had a Withering Wretch and you paid one, that's going to, and exile the card from your graveyard. Teval triggers, Keru Goldkeeper triggers. But if you did a Bajuka Bog to remove your own graveyard, you're just going to get a treasure or a token. So, incremental in this regard. Insidious Roots, 2-mana enchantment. Creature tokens you control have tap for mana. And then whenever one or more creature cards leave your graveyard, create a plant and put a 1/1 counter on each plant you control. So this is pretty nice as well. So your zombie tokens tap. Your you got some other tokens that are happening. So this should work for you pretty well. And then here's the Dickhead card. Let's get through our ramp here. Okay. Ramp's my biggest problem. I got a lot of cool stuff in there. This is probably the Dickhead card of the day. Gilt Leaf Arch Druid, 5-mana 3/3. Whenever you cast a Druid spell, you may draw a card. So these tokens that come in as Druids don't draw you a card. But you can tap 7 untapped Druids. These are Druids. You can tap them and gain control of all lands target player control. So this is a crazy card in here. This is kind of a game ender. This is going to piss off a lot of people. We'll see how long I keep friends. But essentially what it is you drop it and you're taking somebody's lands. Probably whoever's in like the biggest spot that's just like they're doing the best. And you might be able to drop some Druids later on to draw, but this is really just to drop and steal everybody's land. So it's like, I'm going to do it once in a game, and then I'll take it out. It's one of those kind of things. We'll see if I even want to keep the deck around after that either. But Deathrite Shaman, you're exiling cards from the graveyard to either get you mana or gaining 2 life, or your opponents are losing 2 life and stuff like that. So great card in there. Molt Tender, tap mill a card or tap exile a card from the yard, add 1 mana of any color. So that'll trigger Teval. Skull Prophet, tap for a mana, or put mill 2 cards. Not a bad one either. Seaton, Crozen Protector, tap an untapped Druid you control, or add green to your mana pool. Okay, so here's the other thing that happens with these Odyssey Legends. It doesn't have a tap symbol, so it does not have Summoning Sickness with this. It's like its own ability. It's a little strange and not used a whole ton. Patron Wizard is like that. That's probably used a lot in this regard as well. But basically you can, the instant this comes into play, it's a Druid, you can tap it for a green. All these little things, as the token comes into play, you can tap them for green. You don't have to wait, because it doesn't care about Summoning Sickness. That's not what it's looking for. And then the last one is Tato Farmer, 3/1/4 landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may get 2 rad counters. And then you can put target land card into a graveyard that was milled this turn onto the battlefield under your control tapped. There's a lot of milling that's going on. Getting the rad counters could be really beneficial for you as well, even though you're losing some life, but it's just like free mill for you. So that should do some work. Also, there's a little bit of like infinite, I mean, it's not infinite, but when you can untap it when a land comes into play. So that is a lot of mana right there. Produces 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 6, 27, 32. That's a lot. We're gonna have to cut like 12 there. So I need give me a second. Let's put this into like our curve, see what's going on there. Just because it's so big. There's so much there. We just don't want we can't have everything, right? 211. It's probably the one I should take out. That'll probably be the most feel bad part of it. Yeah. Okay. We'll get rid of Mox Diamond. People get pretty sore when you're playing with pretty expensive cards, especially if they're proxies. So let's take that out. 4, 2, and see, this is where I'm kind of like, whatever. I don't have a lot of extra play extra lands. Some of them are just putting them into play, like burgeoning or this druid right here. So I think Augur of Autumn can go. 30. Floral Evoker, I still want in there. White of the Reliquary. I like this just because I'm going to be able to sacrifice tokens if I so wish. Yeah, but I don't have like the blood gas type cards. I don't have a lot of things that I want to just sacrifice willy-nilly. And I don't have do I have some special lands that I want to go get? Maybe. Maybe. Fanatic of Rona still makes sense. Slogurk, Rampant Frogantuan, Head Shredder, Aftermath Analysis, and Lumra. Like this gets really nice too. So if I steal all the lands, this just gets a huge bump of like 8 or 10, like at the end of the game. That'll be pretty nice in that regard. We'll keep both those. They're kind of like huge and game ender. We'll go with that. I like this and that together is really working. These are all super good. I'm happy with those. They're super on theme. I like Seaton. Seaton's always just gonna be work. Tato Farmer. I like how Slogurk is it can get really big with the 1/1 counters. You got plenty of land coming into play. Rampant Frogantuan. I feel like this might be a rougher card. Like it's just gonna be slow going. I don't have a lot of bumps in here. It's a better late game card. Like let's 1v1 at that point. Two people have died. It's a 23-23 for 3. That seems crazy, but I think we'll cut that. Floral Evoker, I'm cool with. Tireless Provisioner, I think I just keep. I feel like it's kind of a second version of Keru Goldkeeper in this deck. I think it's probably just better. It's probably just a better version. I like the Aftermath Analysis, Ronus. The only one that I really questioned was White of the Reliquary, but it's another one of those cards that'll just be a big beater with the Vigilance. I just really like that. I think it's going to be pretty good. I like Sealed Herbalist for retreat to Coral Helm. Land comes into play, untap it, boom, and just drop all the lands in your hand. You got Slogurk and Life from the Loam to be able to return stuff. These are those simple cheap cards that are going to do it. You got your simple mill, Druid class, Insidious, and Skull Prophet. I mean, that's the other thing is like I have some untappers in here, so we'll get to them. But I like those. and that's gonna make it pretty nice. We already got that one. I like these. And weirdly, I kinda wanna get rid of Deathrite Shaman, which I feel like is just that's wrong, but we were able to cut 3. Alright, 29 now. Only have, like, at least 9 to cut, 10 to cut. Alright. Let's see what this next section is. Okay, so this is nope, nope, nope. Kind of the reanimation package. Let's see here. I'm gonna put these other randoms in their pile where they need to be. There we go. All right. You got Tyvar, Jubilant Brawler. All right. You may activate abilities of creatures you control as though they creatures had haste. So I have some looters in here. I have a lot of tap for mana abilities or mill abilities, and I like all of those. Also, it untaps target creature, which is always good. And then you can mill 3 cards. Then you may return a creature card with mana value 2 from the graveyard to the battlefield. And that's exactly what you want to trigger Teval. It's doing a lot of things. I really like this Planeswalker in here. All right. Chthonian Nightmare, 2 mana enchantment. When it ETBs, you get 3 energy, and then you can pay X energy, sack a creature, return this to your hand, return target creature card with mana value X to your from your yard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. I just see this as a really good card. It's 2 mana. You put it into play, sacrifice a token, pay 3 or 2 or 1, bring something back, have some energy left over. This comes back to your hand. You get another Teval trigger, do it again, and you're just able to rinse and repeat and get a bunch of cards back from your graveyard and still keep a Teval token around. Seems really good. Tainted or Tortured Existence. Now this one, it goes with that dragon that likes gets you treasures from when things leave the graveyard. That's basically an infinite combo. I don't have any way to make it work, I guess. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So I can get infinite creatures. So you have Tortured Existence. Let's get that K-Roo out. So you need so this is infinite creatures. You go Tortured Existence in play, Gold Keeper, Teval in play, a creature in your hand and a creature in the graveyard. And then you just pay a black, uh, choose and discard a creature card from your hand, return target creature card from the graveyard to your hand. That creates a treasure and a 2/2 token. And you use that black to discard that card that you just brought back to go get that card that you just discarded and cycle it through, and you get infinite tokens. So, ta-da! So not a bad deal. There's kind of there's a handful of hoops. I'm going to allow it just because it's not an instant kill, but that'll be dope. Phyrexian Reclamation. It's great in here. 2 mana, 2 life. Return a creature from your graveyard to your hand. Get a 2/2, and then just rinse and repeat. It's going to be good for you. Grave Spawn Sovereign. This is going to be a cool one, but 6 mana. Tap 5 untapped zombies you control. Put target creature card from a yard into play under your control. Um, go, go. You don't need to be the one and only comment, Tad. Come on. Come on. You don't need to just leave that. But yeah, tapping 5 zombies should not be hard in this deck. There are a handful of zombies already, along with the tokens, along with this. And then with I have been forgetting the untapper, but the untapper also does some high energy stuff. There we go. Intruder alarm. So Creatures don't untap during their controller's untap steps, but whenever a creature enters the battlefield, untap all creatures. That's even your opponents. But basically, you tap 5 zombies, go get something from a graveyard. This is put target creature card from a graveyard. Doesn't have to be yours, it can be theirs. Basically, you can steal every creature in the graveyard just by this. And with this, it'll untap all your zombies, do it again, rinse and repeat. And that'll be fantastic. That'll be nobody's gonna like me for that, but that's there. I just set everything down. Jeez. All right, Gliss of the Traitor. It is a zombie. First strike, death touch. I love this card, by the way. But also, whenever a creature an opponent controls is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you may return a target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. I don't have a lot of removal. I don't have a shnikey ton of artifacts. Um, and I think I also have another version. How what's the blue one? That's a Merfolk Wizard. Mills, and then you can tap to cast an artifact from your graveyard. Both of them, I think one of them survives. I'm not sure which one. This one seems like more work. The other one seems like a tap ability, and there's more that's gonna be beneficial for me in that regard. But this is a zombie. And first strike death touch. I do like this one a lot. I don't get a lot of opportunities to play this. Um, I'll cut it. Fine. It probably needs to get cut. Eternal Witness. Yeah, I think I got like 2 pieces of removal in here. Not a lot. Eternal Witness, you got a lot of different card types. And so a lot of creature bringing back E, but this will get back a lot of your enchantments or your artifacts or whatever as well. So Eternal Witness, ETB, returns something from the yard, trigger Teval. Timeless Witness with that Eternalize. Also, it's going to do some work for you. And then the Master Transcendent. Um, when it enters, target player gets 2 rad counters. Tap, put target creature card in a graveyard that was milled there this turn from the battlefield under your control. Also, with Intruder Alarm, it's just tap, take everything that's been milled, and that should be working. You can get your own stuff back in that regard as well. You're going to be milling your stuff a lot more than them, but milling can happen to your opponents. So not a lot of reanimation, but I mean, like, these two are really good. I like Gravespawn Sovereign, Chthonian Nightmare. The witnesses are perfect in here. Like, I like all of these for the reanimation. It's probably pretty tight list. The only one I can see cutting is Phyrexian Reclamation. And I think I just want to keep that. So we're good in that regard at this point. I'm pretty happy with that. And then we have basically token producers for milling or having something here. So turn timber sower. I already said this. Land goes in the graveyard. You get an O1 plant. That works. Tormod, the Desecrator, 4 mana, 4/2. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, create a 2/2 tap block black zombie creature token. It's essentially a Teval trigger. It's tapped, not a druid, stuff like that. But it's pretty nice. Sidisi, Brood Tyrant. Whenever it enters or attacks, put the top 3 cards of your library into the graveyard. I believe that does state mill these days. And then whenever one or more creature cards are put into your graveyard from the library, which is milling, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. It's kind of doing the same thing here. They got you getting your zombies, you're happy that you're milling, and that's kind of it's what the deck is doing. So it'll be really nice in that regard. And then Screeching Scorch Beast, 6 mana, 5/5 flying menace. Whenever it attacks, each player gets 2 rad counters. So there is that milling of everybody. But also, whenever one or more non-land cards are milled, you may create that many 2/2 black zombie mutant creature tokens only once each turn. So this will be great on your turn. And on your opponents, it will be okay. So, like, when Mesmeric Orb is in play, that's going to be pretty good. But otherwise, Meh. So those are the tokens. They're making plants, which has that small. There's a little bit of theme on there, and then zombie, zombie, zombie. There's a handful of other cards that make tokens when this or that happens. But most of it is just the zombies. There's something else that's making plants, right? Oh, works. The turn timber sower works really well with Insidious Roots as well. Making a plant, put a 1/1 counter on each plant you control. Those are 1/1 plants. If I did Avenger of Zendikar in here, would not be bad either because that's putting 1/1 counters. You know what? That could be cool. Man, I haven't played Avenger of Zendikar in so long either. No, at least not tonight. Conduit of Worlds, you may play a land from your graveyard, and then you can tap it to cast one permanent from your graveyard if you haven't cast a permanent yet. There's a pretty cool card for graveyard decks. Muldrotha is very similar. Gravetide, I had Muldrotha. This might feel like a little bit of a different version of it, and maybe that's what I'm going for. But you can during your turn, you can cast or bring back from your graveyard one of each or card type as you're going along. So enchantment, artifact, creature, land, planeswalker. You can just cast those from your yard, whatever's in there. So it's pretty cool. I love it. 6 is pretty cool in that regard too. 3 mana, 2/4 reach. Whenever 6 attacks, mill 3 cards. You may put a land card from among those 3 cards into your hand. And as long as it's your turn, non-land permanents cards in your yard have retrace. So discard the land card, cast it from the yard. It should be pretty cool. Maskwood Nexus. It's there because we don't have a solid path for the druids. Even though I think I've added enough druids back in where I could potentially get rid of Maskwood Nexus. Because makes everything a druid in your hand, and that works with Guilt Leaf, Arch Druids, but that's really the only thing that matters. I think we can cut this for now, and then we'll just see what happens later. Multani, you have on my avatar. Power and toughness is equal to 1/1 for each land you control and each land in your graveyard. That's going to be a lot of lands pretty quick. And then you can also return 2 lands to your hand and then return Multani from the graveyard to your hand as well. You have the ability to put a lot of lands into play, or should be, maybe, hopefully. And then also, it's going to get big. I like big creatures, and I cannot lie. So those are just kind of, I don't know. This was probably random. Like, I like it. I don't know if it fits in the deck. Let's cut it. I think it could work, but it's just not what the deck is doing. So casting from the graveyard, 3 cards, not a bad deal. These are the untappers. So retreat to Coral Helm, landfall, choose 1. You may tap or untap target creature or scry 1. It's going to be good in both regards. And then you also have Intruder Alarm. I've already talked about that one. And so it's really good for some of your reanimation cards. It's really good for your looters. It's really good for a lot of your mana dorks are also either milling or, Deathray Shaman's can do other things. So I think Intruder Alarm can do a lot of work in this deck. Just got to make sure you don't break it. You know what I mean? And stealing everything from the graveyard is really great, but maybe it's doing too much. Nope. I need it powerful. Come on. All right, we have Nano Gene Conversion. This is a really cool card along with the next one. But 4 mana sorcery, choose target creature you control, Teval. Each other creature becomes a copy of that creature until end of turn, except it isn't legendary. Then you attack with all of your tokens, all of your creatures. You're milling 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 20, like all those cards, and then you're bringing back lands. Pop, 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 pop. That feels like a sweet play. I want to do that. I hope I can. Same thing with Echoing Equation. That's 5 mana doing the same thing. On the front side, it does have an Augmenter Pugilist. Don't care about it, but conveniently, it is a druid. But basically, this is here to turn all your creatures into Teval and have some cool stuff happen. All right, some of the burn aspects, and this is the one that could probably go. Boobs for life. Thank you, Anderson. I appreciate you. Tad doesn't get it, right? We just need some boobs in life. Uh Next one, retreat to Hagra. Landfall. This is just each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. You could probably do a little bit of a pump, but it doesn't. It's here for the everybody losing life. We have Gem Palm Polluter. It has a cycling. Whenever you cycle the card, you may have target player lose life equal to the number of zombies on the battlefield. You have a lot of tokens. You have, um, some of those cards that I was talking about with reanimation, that you can just bring that back to your hand. Let's see here. So basically, the idea is Phyrexian Reclamation or Tortured Existence. Get those out, and then you're just going like 2 mana, burn somebody in the face, bring it back to your hand, do it again. You probably do that a handful of times. If it's leaving the battlefield, helping with Kru, the Gold Keeper, like there's some cool stuff that could be happening here. So I'll be happy with it. The other thought I had is that there could just be more cycling in the deck. And maybe I go that way, but probably not right now. But Palm Polluter seems pretty cool. Shepherd of Rot, tap. Each player loses 1 life for each zombie in play. You're gonna have a lot of zombies. You don't have a lot of gain life, so hopefully you can just run them out. And then Intruder Alarm can help a ton. You got those 2 untappers could be pretty helpful. Lich Lord of Unks. It's here for that 4 mana, 2 blue, 2 black. Target player loses X life, puts the top X cards of his or her library into the graveyard, where X is the number of zombies you control. It can also make little blue black zombies. I doubt I'll be doing that. It just is not necessary. It's here for the mill and the burn, essentially. Jared Golgari Lich Lord. It gets +1/+1 for each creature in the graveyard. And then you could pay 1 and a green and a black, sacrifice another creature. Each opponent loses X life equal to the sacrifice creature's power. And then you can also sack a swamp and a forest to return it back to your hand from the yard. And so you got a little bit of burn. It's kind of why I like that zombie dude that can be big. I like Slogurk for that reason. Anything that can get huge. Multani, God, bringing Multani back into this, huh? Sacrificing him for 10 is going to be brutal. Let's take him out for now. But Jared's going to be pretty cool in that regard. Sir Conrad the Grim, whenever another creature goes into the graveyard or leaves, you're dealing 1 damage to everybody, and that's going to be pretty sweet. I missed part of this. How big is your total ramp package? Right now it's at like 29. That's something that's going to be needing to be cut down quite a bit. Obnixilus the Fallen, landfall, burn somebody for 3, put 3/1/1 counters on them. You should have that happening at least 2-3 times per turn. Sometimes there's going to be a lot. Should be pretty cool. And then Iridescent Vine Lasher, landfall, offspring, so you can make a copy of it. But landfall, whenever a land you control enters, deals 1 damage to target opponent. Just a little bit more landfall in that regard. So this is, I think there's some cool stuff that can be happening here. And I just think there might be too much going on. I like the landfall aspect. I like Sir Conrad. I think just the things that are going to be probably too much work. I like the retreat to Hagra. I like the polluter. It's weird. I like it better than Shepherd or Rot, even though that's just target player, but this includes me. And then Lich Lord of Unks only hits 1 player as well. But it's like 4 mana. Repeatable. 4 mana. Like it's a little tough. I like the Gem Palm. And maybe I just keep the zombie stuff. Maybe get rid of the landfall stuff. That seems like the wrong call. I feel like there's going to be a lot of land. It feels like a land deck a little bit. Um, I like Sir Conrad, and maybe we just have Gem Palm at this point. Maybe initial thoughts: Shepherd of Rot, Lich Lord of Unks can go, and I just don't see myself being able to sacrifice like a bunch of big creatures, especially if Multani doesn't make it back in. Um, this isn't like a fully creature devoted deck either. There is plenty of non creature things going on. I do like that it's a zombie. Let's cut that for now too. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just a little bit of reach when things go sideways. I'm okay with that. All right. Removal is going to be a small package. Masked Vandal. It is a changeling, but when it ETBs, exile a creature card from your yard, trigger Teval. And then if you do, exile target artifact or enchantment and opponent controls. That's what's happening there. And the next one is Vengeful Pharaoh. 5/4 Death Touch. Whenever combat damage is dealt to you or a planeswalker you control, if Vengeful Pharaoh is in your graveyard, destroy target attacking creature, then put it on top of your deck. Basically, it's a zombie that's in your graveyard that's going to remove something if they deal damage to you. So they're both in there. I'm not going to remove my removal at this point. It's trouble. And that's going to be a problem not having answers. Path of Ancestry. So we are in the mill section of the deck, which is a cool section. I just don't know how big it needs to be. But Path of Discovery, 4-mana enchantment. Whenever a creature ETBs, it gets to explore, which is either if it's a land, put it in your hand, and then if it's not, 1/1 counter, and you essentially want to put it into the graveyard in this deck. So it's either self mill or getting lands into your hand. It's going to be really good in this deck, and that works with tokens. It's going to be really nice. Gossip's Talent. You are just here for the first part, so it's 2-mana enchantment. Whenever a creature ETBs, you surveil 1. You're just going to be able to fill up your graveyard in that regard. Hermit Druid, not milling. Already talked about it, but it's a great way to just put cards into your graveyard and get a land in the hand. Doom Whisperer, that's Surveil 2. Pay 2 life, Surveil 2. It is not, like I said, it's not milling. Look at the top 2 cards of your library, then put any number of them into your graveyard. So it's not milling. It is a different action. Um, so it doesn't help with everything, but you can just fill up your graveyard. And so there's a couple of cards that I'm hoping to get that came from the pre-con that I did not buy. There's a dragon where I'd have to see that might be looking for mill as well. But Legislator, whenever one or more land cards are put in your graveyard from your library, I still believe Surveil is doing that, but it's just not milling. So when things are looking specifically for mill, then it doesn't work. But I mean, Doom Whisperer, pay 10 life, get 3 or 4 land. That's going to be pretty cool in that regard. So it's a beater. It does a lot. I think I'm okay with that. Stinkweed Imp and Golgari Thug is there for the dredge. This is putting a creature from the yard on top of your deck, so you can draw that. You might like it. It's a little bit of that reanimation as well. But Dredge 4 and Dredge 5, this is Death Touch on a flyer. I think in this regard, I think Golgari Thug just kind of works better. Stinkweed Imp does not reanimate anything. But man, that's nice. I think we can cut it, but Golgari Thug can stay. Embalmer Tomb tools, 2-mana artifact, activated about of creature cards in your yard cost 1 less to activate. And then tap and untap zombie you control. Target player puts the top card of his or her library into his or her graveyard. So basically, you can just tap all your zombies and mill your own cards. Mesmeric Orb. This is whenever a permanent becomes untapped, that permanent's controller puts the top card of his or her library into his or her graveyard. This is one of the best self mill cards or just general mill cards out there. So it's pretty good. And then Hedron Crab, landfall, whenever land ETBs, somebody pick a player, yourself, to mill 3 cards. And then Snarling Gorehound, whenever another creature you control with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, surveil 1. Uh, Works for a lot of your tokens are going to be 2 or less for the power. So Snarling Gorehound is going to put a lot of cards in your deck. It is a surveil. I think I got rid of Stinkweed Imp, and I do think I want to get rid of Doom Whisperer as well. Not a druid, not a demon, not a zombie. It is a demon and a nightmare. Um, but I have some really I'm happy with some of the cheaper options here. I want Gossip's Talent, the Gorehound, Hedron Crab, Golgari. I just think I like all of these cards at a cheaper cost at that point. Let's go with that. All right, some of the protection bits. Moment's Peace, 2 mana, prevent all combat damage, and then also has flashback for 3. That flashback would remove it and trigger Teval. Heroic Intervention, just one of the best protection spells out there. Eldrazi Monument, 5 mana. Creatures you control get +1/+1, flying in haste or indestructible. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, sack a creature. Again, I would like this a lot more with Gravecrawler type cards, but you're probably going to be making enough tokens that you can just sacrifice them to Eldrazi Monument and just keep on doing what you're doing. Greaves, Boots for that protection and haste. Rancor is a cool one. +2/+0 and trample. Whenever Rancor is put in a graveyard from play, return Rancor to owner's hand. So it's in the graveyard. Return it back to your hand. Trigger Teval. You get to give one of your creatures trample, and be real aggressive with it. So I like it in this deck. We'll see if it can make it. Wonder if it's in the yard and you have an island, creatures you control have flying. So that's kind of the way to be. There is filth out there that'll give Swamp Walk with the same stuff. That's just more work. I'll take the flying, I guess, over Swamp Walk. So that's what I consider kind of the protection bit at this point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's enough. I don't want to take anything out of that. And then we have Druidic Ritual. You mill 3 cards, and then you can return a creature card and up to 1 land card from your yard. So it's a mill, and you're bringing 2 cards back. I like it in that regard. Unseal the Necropolis, 3 mana instant, mill 3 cards. Each player mills 3 cards, which is kind of cool in that. But then you can return up to 2 creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. And it's just the yard. It doesn't have to be those 3. That'll work pretty nice. Corpse Churn, mill 3 cards. Then you may return a creature card from your yard to your hand. That should work pretty well. Cash Grab, 2 mana instant, mill 4 cards. May put a permanent card from among the cards milled this way into your hand. Doesn't matter for the squirrel, but it's essentially mill 4 and then put a permanent card. You should be able to hit a permanent card in here for sure. Grapple with the Past, 2 mana instant, mill 3 cards. Then you may return a creature or land card from your yard to your hand. So those are all pretty cool cards. They will all trigger Teval. So something like Unseal the Necropolis will only trigger Teval once. Even though it's asking for 2 cards, it is happening at the same time. Nissa Vital Force, 5 mana. And then it comes down with 5 loyalty. You +1 it to untap, and then it'll be at 6. You try and protect it, so you -6 it, so it dies. But you get the emblem of whenever a land ETBs for you, draw a card. That's what you're going for with this in the deck. So you have Monsters Manual, which both work really well. You have 3 mana, mill 5, return a creature card from the yard to your hand. So trigger Teval, and then cast the artifact. 2 mana, you may put a creature card from your hand on the battlefield. It's doing everything you want in this deck. Dredger's Insight, 2 mana enchantment, ETBs, mill Uh, 4 cards, you may put an artifact, creature, or a land card from among the milled cards into your hand, and then whenever one or more artifacts and or creature cards leave your graveyard, gain a life. And so it's gaining a life. You're getting the Teval trigger, also an enchantment. Should be pretty nice in that regard. Ripples of Undeath. At the beginning of pre-combat main phase, mill 3 cards. Then you may pay 1 and 3 life. If you do, put a card from among those cards into your hand. So it's a free mill that allows you to get something in your hand if you need it. It should be pretty. Roiling Dragonstorm, 2-mana enchantment. Whenever enchantment enters, draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards. And whenever a dragon you control enters, return it to your hand. So Teval will return it, and the Gold Keeper will return it. That treasure one. And it seems pretty cool. I mean, that is not a bad return for something you could potentially do over and over. Tatiova, already talked about it. Landfall, draw a card. Pedantic Learning, 2 blue for an enchantment. Whenever a land is put into your graveyard from your deck, you may pay 1. If you do, draw a card. You got a lot of milling going on, a lot of stuff. You should be able to draw cards. Crypt Breaker, 1 mana, 1/1. Tap 3 untap zombies you control to draw a card and lose a life. Can also make 2/2 zombies. Ret Tomb Mystic, 2 mana, 2/1 flyer. Each creature card in your hand has cycling 1 and a blue. So that's that cycling thing that I was talking about earlier. But also it's a zombie. It works out. Phalaji Archaeologist, 2 mana, 0/3. When it ETBs, mill 3 cards. Then you can put a non-creature, non-land card from among the cards milled this way into your hand. And if you don't, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. So mill, take something, trigger Teval. That's what you're trying to do. Pick Lock Prankster. You got Adventure, mill 4 cards, put an instant, sorcery, or fairy card from among them into your hand. That one has a chance at whiffing, but I'm hoping not. You know what I mean? It works very well. And then also just 2 mana flying vigilance, 1/3. I think it works. And then it's also something like it can die. I can bring it back with Phyrexian Reclamation, recast the instant into the prankster. Like I like that it's also a creature. So Emery, Lurker of the Lock. I was trying to think of this one earlier. So when it ETBs, you mill 4 cards, tap, choose target artifact in your graveyard, and you can cast it, which will trigger Teval. That's what you want. Borrow Goyf. 3 mana, Death Touch Lifelink. Power and toughness is equal to the amount of card types in everybody's graveyard. The best that I'm going to be, I don't have any battles, but I do have walkers, lands, enchantments, artifacts, creatures, instant sorceries. So the best I can make it totally is a 7/8. And a battle would bring it up to an 8/9. Most people don't play battles, but that's not bad for 3 mana. And then when it deals damage, you may mill that many cards, and if you do, put a creature card from among them into your hand. So you're milling, getting a creature back into your hand. Just has to be able to deal that damage. Kind of why Rancor is really nice in this deck as well. There's some creatures that are just going to be big, and you want them to get through. Sivrus, Nightmare Speaker. Tap, sack another creature, which will likely be one of these things. And then for each opponent, you mill a card, then return that card from your graveyard to your hand, unless that player pays 3 life. I will probably have to ask a judge on how this works. Is you sack the creature, and then in turn order, you're going, I'm milling this card. Do you want me to have it in your hand or in my hand, or do you want to pay 3 life? And if they pay the 3 life, it goes into the graveyard, nothing happens, or it's already in the graveyard. And then if they don't want to pay the life, it comes back into my hand. And the question is 1, 2, 3 times, do I get 3 triggers off of Teval, or is it all technically happening at the same time as everything's resolving? I think that's probably how it'll work, but you do resolve it in kind of like turn order at that point. But Rishlaw Skimmer, 2/2 flyer. Whenever a card leaves the graveyard, draw a card. Happens once each turn. So you'll draw some cards. Likeness Looter, tap to draw a card, then discard a card. And this gets to stay in here because You can pay X and becomes a copy of target creature in the yard. And that's a for everything, I believe. Comes a copy of target creature card in your graveyard with mana value X, except it has flying and the ability. And this ability activate only as a sorcery. It doesn't say until end of turn. So that's pretty sweet. And then also Vohar Vodilian Desecrator. Draw a discard. If it's a instant or sorcery, each opponent loses a life. And then also you can pay 2, sack it to cast an instant or sorcery from the graveyard. All right, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13, 14, 15, 22. Let's see if there's anything that I can really cut. I like being able to get some of the cards in my hand out of my hand with some of this looting. I'll probably have Gyro Reach Sanitarium in my lands as well. That's some draw. Barrel Goyf. Emery. I think Emery has to go. I think it's going to be too specific. I have left less than 15 artifacts, even though I should be able to see a lot of cards. I think we can still cut it. I don't know how active it's going to be. I like Sivrus. I like Borrow Goyf. I'm a little worried about Picklock Prankster as well. I don't think I'm going to hit. I have maybe 20 instants and sorceries in the deck. And so that definitely worries me when it comes to hitting an instant or sorcery. It's not going to hit another fairy, unfortunately. So we'll cut that for now too. I like the 2 mana creatures. There is the Anok or whatever, that Hound, and that should do some work. I like this at 2 mana as well. Rat Tomb Mystic. All right, so how logical do I like the idea of having cycling in this deck? I like that it's a zombie. I like that it has flying. It's cheap. And just giving everything that ability to cycle in my hand seems really powerful. And so I think my big thing is how many creatures do I actually want to cycle? That's a good question. I'll keep this in until I'll do the card types next, which is happening soon. And then I'll have to see how many creatures I'd actually want to just be cycling. Crypt Breaker seems awesome. Pedantic Learning seems really good. Tatiova seems like it's going to do some work. Ripples. And then we just have, we have Nissa, Vital Force. I still like that as well. And then we just have a bunch of these, like mill and bring something back to my hand. I like the 2 mana ones, 1, 2, 3, 4. Mill 4 cards, put an artifact creature from among the milled cards. And so maybe the part of that is this also gains me life though, right? Okay. From the graveyard, this is from those milled cards, which isn't as enticing. All right, maybe that's done. From the graveyard, from your graveyard, from your graveyard, this way into your hand, but then it just has that added bonus. So maybe we can get rid of Cash Grab just because it works and doesn't do anything extra because I don't have any squirrels in this deck. So it's a reason to cut. What do we do? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. Yeah. You're thinking that cycling helps me feed the graveyard. I do think it's going to be good. The question ends up being is like, how many creatures do I actually want to cycle? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 19. Like there are definitely some cards I want in my graveyard. Some creatures. Just depends on how many. Not 19. I'm going to end up having to cut handful more of these, but I won't really care at this point. All right, let's break this up into card type, and then we can just see where everything is at this point. I think I'm gonna put that as sorcery. Planeswalker. Go. Creature. Yeah, so something like Wonder would be really nice to cycle away. That'd be super nice. Um, we got. Well, yeah, I'll definitely just have to go through. Sometimes it might just be nice to go through and get something to be able to reanimate as well, right? I don't know how many creatures or cards that's like, but let's see here. We definitely have some token production. There we go. That's just an artifact. Plenty of creatures. Mostly creatures. Enchantments. Kind of have a lot more enchantments in here than I anticipated as well. Sorceries. All right. Let's see here. An hour. Nothing's too crazy on the sorceries. All that makes kind of sense. I think I cut both of my artifact retrieval. Probably more for like the witnesses, just because they can hit and get back everything. Instance, not a whole ton there, not a whole ton of tricky. I like my planeswalkers. Those two at this point are nice. Yeah, lots of enchantments. I'm kind of impressed with that. Anything I've gotten rid of some of the burn part. And question ends up being is like, how many lands do I expect to have coming into play? Like retreat to Hagra is going to be cool. Death touch. I don't have any way of like dealing one damage to anything. Retreat to Hagra can be something that we cut. A little bit of life gain there, which is nice, but Gossip's Talent, Titan's Nest, just being able to play more lands is nice. Burgeoning Exploration. Chthonian Nightmare. That's something that we can kind of look at too. Rancor is really nice. Pedantic Learning. Ripples of Undeath. Yeah, I kind of like all these enchantments at this point. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Let's look at the artifacts. Thin. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, nothing super different other than I like Embalmer's Tools and Head Shredder. That's perfect in here. These just make sense. These get me excited, especially with an intruder alarm happening. Could do some good work there. Um, and so I guess part of the question, yeah, I like Conduit of Worlds, being able to cast permanent from the graveyard. Is that something that I would want? So I have Muldrotha and Conduit of Worlds. And that's just any permanent. Is that something that's going to be better than Emery or the Green Black Zombie? Probably. Mesmeric Orb is going to do a lot of milling for a lot of people. So this feels very much like the Hermit Druid. Like, do I need a ton of mill like that? Let's put those in. I think so. but I think for the sake of what's going on right now, like, you just will be able to see so many cards, um, and we'll be able to see so many cards, like, it helps with the master, this helps with the Scorch Beast, this is pretty big stuff when it comes to milling. I'm okay with that. Alright, let's first go through and see how many creatures that we actually want in the graveyard. Um, I mean, we can cycle anything, but what do we actually want in the graveyard? So this is discarding a creature card. That's another way to get stuff into the yard. I got 2 other looters, 3 others, and then Floral Evoker, Slogurk, Tato. So, what do I say? I'm still at 0 technically right now, where I want it in the graveyard. It might just be the 2. So I just want to be able to discard, not really Muldrotha. Vengeful Pharaoh wants to be there for sure. I might look into more cycling. Again, not tonight. Hermit Druid not being a mill is brutal. This might just not be the deck for it. I guess, yeah, kind of weird. 1, 2 for the wonder. There are definitely going to be cards in my hand that are going to get stuck, but I don't think I need the Ret Tomb Mystic. I think that can get cut. And then essentially Chthonian Nightmare. How many cards can I just hit off of it? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. That has a lot of targets. That'll be good. So I only need like 2 cards absolutely into the graveyard. I have 2 looters. I have that one that discards creatures. I guess the other thing I could do is go get no. And then I have 2 looters, a land that loots. So I have 4 things that can discard cards from the hand. 5. I have that enchantment as well. Okay, let's look at our curve. Let's see here. Lots of 2s. That is going to be a pretty heavy spot for it. We might as well just do all of it. See, put that. We want that to be at a 3. That's at a 0. Don't ever want to cast that. That's at a 2. Seems right. Seems right. 3, 4, 2, 2, 2, 5. I think we have a strong 4 spot as well. Like, there's some good cards at that 4 spot. So I don't feel bad having like 2 mana, 2 CMC dorks sitting there. Yeah. I've been happy with that in the past. I was just thinking Druid class, I think it'll do some pretty good work for us. 3, 5, twos, 5, 3, and 3. All right, so nothing over 6, it looks like. We have Muldrotha, Scorch Beast, Gravespawn, and Lumra. Like, I think those just go in. I think we're just happy with this. Yeah, that at that 4 spot. 18. We might be down near 80 at this point. That 5 spot, Nissa Vital Force and Tatiova, basically doing the same thing. I might be able to just cut these 2 to put Yesil into play. That's just the better, like, it's Druid land. It's much more. I like the indestructible. I like turning into everything. Sir Conrad seems really good in that regard. Nixilis. Yeah, that seems cool. Guildleaf Archdruid. That's just gonna be brutal, honestly. So the other thing that I was thinking with the turning everything in, kind of forgot. So even though like you turn all your stuff, let's say you get 5 Tavals attacking, you're milling 15, bringing back 5 lands. Each land that comes back will get you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like 2 twos. And so you'll end up with 25 2 twos with that. That seems really good because each one of them will see the land coming out of the graveyard. So I just really like that. Sounds like a really fun thing to do. And it sounds like a great way to ramp. Plus any other triggers. Um, I kind of don't dislike what I'm saying. Cut these 2 and get an actual threat into play. See if I can find it quick enough. So these are all cards that I've considered. You get to quick see everything. That one might make it back in there too. Um, let's see if it's in here. There was a minute where I was going to mill and reanimate stuff, and that'd be kind of a fun bit. So Breach of Multiverse, stuff like that. Okay, not that. Let's see here. Yeah, because okay, there we go. Yeah, see, Tyrant of the Gyre straight. So at 6 mana, 5/5. Play an additional land. Whenever a land enters under your control, you may draw a card. I mean, that's going to do enough in this deck, I think. That'll be nice. We'll move that up to 6. All right. So down 2, up 1. I don't dislike that. That's a nice card. It's a serpent. I mean, doesn't do a whole ton, but we like the 5 spot. Yeah, not a lot of 5 in the 6, but that feels about right between 5 plus. Let's look at this 4. Nanogene. Yep. 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 Conduit of World seems really good. Might not be doing enough though. Well, I can play land and cast a spell that can trigger Teval twice. That's probably doing all right. Should be pretty cool. But if that's only triggering once, is that worth it? Let's cut Sivrus for now. If it can trigger 3 times, great. If it triggers all at the same time, not so great. Tormod makes sense. Sidus, yeah, that Sidus is going to be crazy. Timeless Witness, the Master. Yeah. That's, I mean, I don't think cutting a Witness is worth it, because if that gets cut, then I'm going to want to bring in Emery or something as well. So I'd much rather just keep them into play. With that wide variety of cards that they can work with. All right, let's look at that 3 spot. I like what's going on there. We don't, 3 is normally higher than 2, but I like that multi spot, 2 creatures, a creature and a land. We have a lot of creatures in here. Tyvar makes a ton of sense, I think, because it's milling, it's untapping, and giving haste to some of them activated abilities. Intruder Alarm, Retreat to Coral Helm is going to do great. So 6 is great. Turn Timber, Sower, Eternal Witness, Tato, bop, pop, pop, bop. Foral Evoker. I like that. So this one is just a big beater. It doesn't have trample. I still think that's going to be really cool. So I guess the other question is like, do I get rid of the direct damage that something like Vine Lasher or Obnixilis can do and go get creatures that are doing this? I mean, it's just that frog Gantuan that I really kind of want to play. That's a good question. I think I'm much more just land based. I think Borrow Guy probably goes. Yikes. All right. Vine Lasher should be dope. Let's go for that 1 spot. Burgeoning, Exploration. Yep. Ranker just seems really good. It's going to work with a lot of creatures, that just being able to get it through. Barrogoyf going away does kind of hurt it in that regard. Maybe let's leave it off to the side. But I think I'll be happy just slapping that on Teval as well. Although if Teval dies, that Ranker trigger doesn't count, but whatever. Hedron Crab, I think, is pretty cool. I mean, if I'm going to be able to get, 6 cards milled, that should be doing something. Vengeful Pharaoh, Deathwish Shaman. I wonder how many creatures I want to put Ranker on, right? Let's go through any of those big beaters that get big. I think I've taken out a lot of them at this point. We would have Slogurk has trample, so I wouldn't want to do that. I don't care. Maybe Floral Evoker, that could potentially work. So 1. I don't even care about cheating that stuff into play. Although, okay, we're at 1 creature so far that I want to put it on. Let's see here. Not a whole ton. 1, 2 for Obnixilis. 3 for Lumra. Let's take a look at this. 3. Shouldn't be a lot. Maybe a 4th. That thing's still in there. 4. Is 4 enough for a Ranker? We could take that out for now. I still think I like it, but let's make some cuts here. We'll do a count after this 2 spot. I mean, I like just these creatures. Life from the Loam's gonna do good. Not creatures, but the mill and take something back. Need to be able to protect myself from wraths, ripples, treasure's insight, gain enemy life. Um, yep. That 2 spot is super full. Mesmeric Orb. Um, I think we cut it. I think I'll be fine with that. Like, I like right now, I'm digging cards that can mill and bring something back, and that seems much more of, like, the theme of what Teval's doing, is just, like, mill and something. And if it's just milling, I think all you're gonna do is piss people off with the orb if you can't do much with it. I'm okay with that cut. Feeling alright with it. Fill Palm Polluter, Mass Vandal. And I think I'm gonna have to make a lot more aggressive cuts as well. Mill 3 cards. You may put a land card from among them into your hand. If you don't, put a 1/1 counter on that creature. I just don't give a rip, but it's early game blocking, so maybe that matters. I don't know. White of the Reliquary, Ronus. All right. Basically, I'm going to give it a count, put it into its whatever it's doing, and try and make some hard cuts, and then we'll call it a night. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. $30. Anybody tell me the Wolves game uh, score? $30. 21. So we're at 81 cards right now. Not doing too bad. All right. Put it what they're doing. Mana, reanimation. Stick that up there. Boop. Tokens. Manas. That's a mill. That's just random ass. Protection. Damage. Being a dickhead. That's a little bit of both. Probably more draw than anything. There we go. Draw. Yeah, not much removal at all. I think we're okay with that. Let's see here. Reanimation, damage. Mill in a land. Token. Yeah, that's just land. Manas. Consider that card advantage. I think we can cut Monster Manual, which is, I don't know how much I like that idea. I just don't have a lot of like over 6 mana. Nothing's crazy. Milling that 5 cards. We'll get that. We'll get that. Reanimation, that's just doing a lot though. Yeah, it's just that mana's crazy where we're at. damage. Non-creature, non-land. That'll be card advantage. Reanimation, protection. There's that mill. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Random stuff. I really like the untappers and the clones. So we're down with that. After this, we'll call it a night. Hour and a half. All right. Tokens, which are zombie, 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 and plants. A little bit extra with plants. Graveyard to your hand. Like, I don't dislike any of that. So I'm fine. I have a 128, 126 Thunder. Ooh, that's close. Ooh. No good. A little bit of damage, so creatures going in, landfall, zombies. I'm okay with what is going on there. A little bit of removal. Go with the mill. We have mill like, ooh, that has shrank dramatically, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of mill. That's just basically pure mill. You know, creatures coming into play, tapping zombies, landfall. I am not disappointed with any of these. I don't think we got a lot of little creatures, not many pumps. Counters can be put on them later, stuff like that. So doing all right there. Let's get rid of the protection bit too. Not a whole ton. We're getting short there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boots and Graves, Moment's Peace, Eldrazi Monument, Heroic Intervention, Wonder, given everything, Flying. Let's look at the Reanimation. Chthonian. And this can kind of be in the whole card advantage spot. Like, you're taking advantage of the graveyard, which you're trying to fill up. That all kind of counts in there because we're thin on the draw mechanic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Normally I aim for 15. So really we're not too short. Cutting is hard sometimes. I agree. But I'm liking a lot of my draw at this point. I'm just gonna have to be brutal on my ramp package, I think. I like the likeness looter. I don't love either of these 2-mana creatures, if I'm gonna be honest. The land one and this one. I'm okay cutting that and just being cool with the instants and sorceries. I don't even know if I like. How aggressive do I want to get? Cut these and just be happy with the 2s that are instants or sorceries. This gets 2 cards from the yard into my hand. But that's more of, well, let's cut those at that 3 spot. Getting real aggressive, aren't we? What do we just get rid of? Card advantage, 1, 2, 3. So down to 12. Okay. All right, with that. This is the mill and return type stuff. Golgari, Tyvar, Eternal Witness. Like, I don't dislike any of these at this point. Pretty happy with the reanimation package. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right with that. And then our mana. That's our problem. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're already cutting this one. Enoch Wayfarer. We already said that one. Because it's looking for those within those specific 3 cards, and that's a small amount. 2, 3, 4, 5. 11, 12. 28, 29. We essentially have 29. We have 10 cuts that we need to do here. All right. That's on theme. Getting tokens from stuff leaving. Being able to play more lands is nice. Tapping 4 mana to put lands into play. This is technically the same thing as well. Tapping 4 mana. Let's see if we can just lands into play. Let's see here. All right, so that's a kind of mill into putting it back into play. There's that. Bop. Mill back into play. Mill back into play. Extra lands. Boppity bop. Treasure. Slogurk works. So many of these cards are just like, I like them. All right, so technically, I think Scaled Herbalist can easily go. I think White of the Reliquary does get cut, which makes me feel like cut and Rancor was the right call. So just like uniquer cards, gaining life. We like these. A lot of my opponents aren't going to be milling too much. There might be some rad counters that are running around, but I like Slogurk, Life from the Loam. Let's see here. 1, 2, 4, 5. Okay. Titan's Nest, Goldkeeper are in. Like these are just absolutely going to be in, right? Hedge Ledger is absolutely in. I mean, all of these are probably in. How do we do this? Okay. Soul Ring works. Tireless Provisioner. Maybe do we truly care about those treasures? Maybe. But that 3 mana spot. We can cut that for now. Not a land. Doing different things. Mill. I like how that can mill. I like how those are milling and giving you the mana. So it feels like Molt Tender a little bit different. Exiling a card, add 1 mana of any color. So the question that I think Fnatic Aronis, much like most people are going to say that it's a fantastic card. The question ends up being like, is it really what this deck is doing? I do like the Eternalize, but it's not much like the Provisioner, where that's getting a treasure for the landfall. Like this is getting big. It just is close, but I think it's cuttable in that regard. I think I like Floral Evoker, Blossoming Tortoise, Lumra, bop, bop, bop. Yeah. Let's see here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 26. Maybe the other thought as well is Roots of Wisdom. Mill 3 cards, then put a land or an elf card. I don't have a lot of elves. So it's just going to be, and if you can't, you draw a card. More than likely, I'll have a land in there. It's a sorcery. It doesn't do anything extra. So let's cut that. It's just putting something into your hand. Well, I'll definitely have to trickle this down, but I think probably going to wrap this up. We definitely have some cool cards. Let's see here. Yeah. Yep. Druid. All right. 81, 80, 79, 78, 76, 72. All right. We got pretty close there. We have 72 cards left. Just a little bit of cutting at this point. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. Hopefully you're having a good night and you had a good weekend. Give it a like if you can. Appreciate it. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments. Hopefully it tickles your fancy. All right. Night. Bye.